Hey guys, my name is Dr. Brodoff and I'm one of the psychologists at the Center for Anxiety. I am here today to talk to you about mindfulness. So, what is mindfulness? It's this sort of hot topic, buzzword that you hear a lot in the media, and I'm here today to talk to you about what mindfulness is. So, mindfulness is really just a state of being. It can be cultivated in many ways by practicing what we call mindfulness. So there are a number of ways to practice mindfulness, and I'm going to talk to you today about all the different ways that you can incorporate mindfulness in your everyday life. Mindfulness has a lot of really great benefits to mental health, just really functioning all around. So to start with, I want to talk to you about what the definition of mindfulness is. So like I said before, it's a state of being, and it can be cultivated by doing certain things. So to practice mindfulness, there's about 4 steps in practicing mindfulness that are really easy to do. So the first is basically just to identify what you want to bring your awareness and focus to. It could be a variety of things, and I'll get into that. So that's the first thing. So pick something that you want to focus on. The second thing is to once you've identified what you're focusing on, then you commit to bringing your awareness to that thing that you're choosing to focus on. But you do this in as non-judgmental of a way as you can. So as you're focusing on whatever you choose to focus on, your mind is likely going to wander. And as you're doing this, a big part of mindfulness is practicing how to non-judgmentally bring your focus and attention back to the thing that you're choosing to be mindful about. That's really all it takes. So it's just identifying what you're focusing on, choosing to focus your attention and awareness on that particular thing, and doing so using a non-judgmental stance. So there are a number of ways to practice mindfulness, and each person can try these number of different ways and pick what you feel is most helpful to you. So you can practice mindfulness formally or informally. So to practice mindfulness formally, this is probably what most people have in mind when they think about what mindfulness is. So you can do mindful meditation. So mindfulness in a meditative stance or way might look like bringing awareness to the breath and sitting in a quiet space and choosing to focus on the in and the out breath, and doing so while you're sitting in a quiet room. And you might notice your breath coming in, your breath coming out, and the mind will generally, most people's minds, everyone's minds really, will wander to things that have happened in the past, things that are going to happen later today or tomorrow or in the distant future. And when a person practices mindfulness, it's not about preventing or reducing those distracting thoughts. It's about getting good at noticing when the mind starts to wander, in that example, away from the breath. And then noticing when that happens and trying to non-judgmentally just notice and then bring your attention back to the breath. Another formal way of practicing mindfulness could be practicing yoga. Yoga is a meditative practice, and it involves movement and also noticing the breath as well. Some people like to practice mindfulness by doing a body scan, and there are tons of apps and guided audios out there. If you Google mindfulness, you'll find a lot. So you can also practice mindfulness informally, which I love because a lot of times people get a little intimidated or just feel like they don't have the time to really set aside that time to practice mindfulness. And what I like to say is that you don't have to do that to be practicing mindfulness. So you can practice mindfulness informally. And this could look like practicing mindfulness while you are washing the dishes. So when I think about how to practice mindfulness, a lot of times I think about using the 5 senses. So when someone's washing the dishes, they could be choosing to notice how the water feels on their hands as they wash the dishes, or really get involved and participate in washing the dishes. So noticing the smell of the soap as they wash the dishes, watching the bubbles in the water wash over the dishes, and then if their mind starts to wander about what they're doing later tonight or some conversation they had earlier on in the day, you just notice it as non-judgmentally as possible and then bring that focus back to washing the dishes and the sensations, all the five senses. So what you see, what you feel, what you hear, you smell, what you taste. Probably not going to be tasting anything as you wash the dishes, but those four other senses will be very primary in that practice. So mindfulness practice can be very informal, and you can incorporate it in your everyday life. So lastly, what are the benefits of mindfulness? So aside from a typically, depending on the kind of mindfulness practice that someone might do, first and foremost, there's a general sense of calm or decreasing stress reduction when people practice mindfulness in and of the mindfulness practice itself. So while they're practicing mindfulness right then and there. Not always, it doesn't always produce that effect, but usually people will notice some sort of reduction in stress. Sometimes people will actually notice an increase in stress if their MO is to distract and avoid any kind of thought or feeling that they might be having. So that could happen. Some longer, broader, long-lasting effects of mindfulness can be an increase in working memory, a decrease in rumination. So if you're practicing mindfulness on a daily basis, people are getting really good at bringing their attention and their focus back to what they're doing and away from that ruminative thought process. Some other benefits of mindfulness are stress reduction, like I mentioned, decrease in depression, and an overall decrease in emotional reactivity. And usually this will happen, all these benefits can be seen if somebody's practicing mindfulness on a regular basis. There's a cumulative effect. However, it's never a bad idea to go to a yoga class once in a while or to sit in your backyard and relax in the sun. So hopefully this was helpful. At CFA, a lot of us use mindfulness components in our treatment, and DBT is an enormous mindfulness